Have we shown the chicks lately? They're getting pretty big. There, now you can see up against a full-size chicken. They're still pretty small. I was trying to we still put them in at night, and I was trying to get them to go in the other evening. And they started running all around down here, and some of them just ran right through the fence. They barely even had to hesitate. They were able to just go right through the holes. Even though they're looking kind of big, they're still pretty small. A lot of times a chicken looks huge and you grab hold of it and you're like, wow, there's a little tiny body inside here. This covered with a giant layer of feathers. Some chickens are very, like the chickens we have in the front yard that we're about to process for meat, they're very solid. They have a very thin layer of feathers on them. But these, you grab hold of one of these and it's like a large softball or something like that. I guess softballs are standardized where there aren't large ones and small ones. I've been doing a lot more clearing, and I got some stakes in the ground to show the corners of where the concrete is going to go. So if we spin around to the road that we come in on, I did a lot of clearing here today, just trying to open things up. I did some clearing up in here, and then I'm also working on the septic, getting ready to put in plumbing. So I showed you that I had opened up the ground where my pipe is, and the pipe comes up at ground level, the end of it anyway. We can cut it back some, but I really, from there over to here, I'm gonna need some fall. Well, actually the kitchen sink is way over there. So I'm gonna have to fall 1/4 inch per foot. So that's about 50, maybe 55 feet. I did the math real quick, and that's 14 inches. From that end all the way to here. Of course, we're gonna pour a slab, so we're gonna be building it up. Well, my pipe still needs to be inside in the ground. So even if I start just 3 or 4 inches in the ground over there, then I'm gonna be almost 20 inches by the time I get here. While we're doing this, I just noticed this is sassafras. So you pull that up and you can make a tea with the root that tastes really nice. And has an awesome color too. So anyway, to get further down that pipe, I started digging over here. And instead of finding the pipe, I found the concrete, which is the lid for the septic tank. So now I'm digging this way to try to find the pipe. And maybe I'll get to somewhere in here, find the pipe, and then I can maybe run that pipe over this way and then over that way. And that's gonna get me a lot of depth. That's more than 2 feet. I know most people don't care about the details too much, but these are just the things that I'm thinking about and dealing with as I'm going along. Okay, we're getting ready to process our birds. We usually use this spot right here where we park. It's just a good spot for washing off the driveway and getting rid of the guts and stuff. So I'm just gonna move the truck. It takes a while for the water to heat up, so I'm going to go get that started before we eat breakfast or anything. These are the beautiful birds that are gonna give up their lives for food for people. Cornish cross is a hybrid that has, do you say breeded, has bred a kind of chicken that matures in 8 weeks. You would think it would be some kind of genetic modification or something, but actually it's just a hybrid. If we let them grow old enough to lay eggs and hatch new chicks, we would get something completely different that would not mature so fast. The downside of growing so quickly is that sometimes they can have a heart attack, and there's, you know, just some things that can happen to them pretty quickly to make them die. And I think we had one of ours keel over that way. Are you having fun playing? Coming over here to get the water heater. Wow, it looks like one of the cats had an accident on top of there. Filling, I'll go get a table. So when we went to buy chicks for laying eggs, we also saw those chickens, the Cornish cross, and decided to get a few of them. We got 10 of them. Normally when we're going to raise chickens, we usually get 25 or 30, but we just thought, hey, let's just do a small batch. So we got 10 chickens, put them out there and started raising them up. Well, put them in the brooder and then later put them in the tractor. And then we had that huge storm. I'm pretty sure I mentioned it on a video. The wind in this storm was so strong, it lifted up the tractor and moved it over about 4 feet and twisted it. And it must have landed on some of the chickens. One of the chickens was so injured it was almost dead when we were able to get out there after the storm. We tried to go out in the storm, but lightning crashed right beside us somewhere. So we ran back in the house, waited until the storm subsided. So over the next 48 hours, we realized a couple other ones were injured really badly too. So 3 of them had been injured and we had to put them down. A couple weeks later, another one fell over and dead. So we think that one had a heart attack. Like I said, this breed, they can do that. So now we're down to 6 chickens, and that's what we're processing today. Hopefully it won't take too long. I think we'll be done well before lunch. That makes your table so much more comfortable. You know, if you're doing a whole day of processing, between your shoulder blades starts hurting from bending over so much if you don't have a nice high table. We're halfway into it. We're really blessed that the sky is still cloudy. The sun's come out a couple times and it gets hot and humid. I'll just turn real quick. I've got a cone right here in the garden fence. So there's my bird in the thing. I don't want to put too much blood on YouTube. So we got 140-degree water. We dunk them for 1 minute. Then we pull them out and put them in the plucker. They tumble around in here and the nubs take their feathers off. And the feathers come out neatly underneath. That's probably the most neat I've ever seen them. So we turn it on like that. The bottom kicks them all around and they bump into the side ones. Then we put them on the table and remove their guts and things. And then we weigh them. We did discover that one bird seemed to still be injured from the storm. So we're only using part of its meat because its legs and one of its legs and wings were bruised. It's really sad that we had that hidden injury that we didn't know they were suffering with. Have you tried this tea? It's really good. I wish they were a sponsor so I could get free tea. It's really good. Costco has a package that has 3 different flavors. I'm enjoying it. So Cindy's over there. She just put some in the freezer, and we're about to do the last 3. We're actually doing 7 total because we needed to get rid of a rooster. We're going to combine all of our chickens, and there's one rooster that's really rough and gets the other rooster all bloody whenever it jumps the fence. Just weighed the last bird at 6 pounds, 6 ounces. So that gives us a total of about 50 pounds for these meat birds, not including the rooster. So even if we had kept all 10, that wouldn't be bad, 50 pounds. But instead we got 50 pounds out of 6 birds. I'm sure a lot of you know, but the Costco birds are about 3, what do you think, 3 pounds? Maybe 3.5. So these are averaging double that. I haven't seen any carpenter bees for months, maybe 2 months, until day before yesterday. I finally saw some on the front porch. And the front porch shelter is getting pretty messed up by those things. So I'm gonna take my trap. I only made 1 trap. I intended to go make more, and I still have the blocks all cut out, but I just need to take the time and make them, maybe today. So here's the trap I just took down, and it actually does have some bugs in it, but they aren't carpenter bees. Got a wasp in there. It looks like it might be 2 or 3 different kinds of wasp in here. So I guess they have a similar behavior of climbing up into holes and examining the holes. I'm gonna try this thing on the front porch, and hopefully it'll catch something in the first few days. If not, I'm gonna drill these holes a little bit bigger. We were also getting so many flies lately that we bought one of these, what is this made by? Black Flag. And so it got covered with bugs. It's kind of covered with bugs again. And I have a great tip that I learned how to clean it. Leaf blower. You might need to hold it while you're blowing it though. Wow. That's such a neat looking little moth or whatever it is. Out here enjoying the rain, I thought I'd show you Cindy's hibiscus plant. When we're just doing a few chickens, I hate to set up our whole operation. I've got these cones. So these posts, I usually put them in the ground in the garden. So that's the big setup, is when I do 2 sets of cones. I got 4 cones all together. But I want to make 1 more garden cone where I can just hang it on the garden fence. So the one today, the chickens were kicking around and kind of tearing it up. I've had that one for, gosh, almost 10 years probably. And back then I had made this other one. I saw some video or something somewhere, and I just made it myself after seeing the video. It's a 5-gallon bucket. Just cut it at an angle and used zip ties to hold it together. So it's a pretty good idea for a quick way to make your own cone without having to pay for one and order it. And I'm just gonna put that on this piece of wood and put a hook on it so I can hook it on the fence again after I threw the other one away. And I think this 2x6 instead of a 2x4 is gonna give it some more stability. Okay, I put a few screws in it, screwed it onto the block of wood, put that hook on the back. So now I can just hook it to my cattle panel when I'm ready to use it quickly. This is also good when something happens to a chicken and you need to put it down. Maybe it got attacked and it's going to die for sure, but isn't dead yet, or just something where you suddenly need to deal with putting down one of these birds, which is terrible, but sometimes it happens. And we're ready for doing things quickly. It's been raining. We're supposed to have a whole bunch more rain coming in. So I'm gonna work on my carpenter bee projects. I got a bunch of little stacks of blocks of wood ready to go. I've got 3 stacks right here. I got 3 more stacks that I'm running through the sander and just taking all the edges off. So I don't think I'm gonna do all those today, but maybe I can get, if I can just get one more, I'm gonna put it on the front porch. That is an area that really needs them bad. And then I need to put them throughout our picnic shelter. So I need to finish the rest of them at some point.